Swipe Up, episode 227, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor. The Buffalo supermarket shooter has finally been sentenced to life in prison without parole, which obviously is a good thing. Horrible person, whatever. But I think this brings up a lot of topics that aren't too good, right? One being, right, if only the terrorist had resisted arrest, right? Because it seems like all of the people who back the blue, quote unquote back the blue, they hang their American flags out in front of their home with the blue stripe in it because they think cops are doing all of the good work. They are actually doing their job, protecting and serving the public, and they have zero problem with death penalty being the punishment for resisting arrest, right? Not only is the death penalty in their eyes the proper punishment for resisting arrest, it is so justified in their minds that a police officer should, if anybody resists arrest, it is within their due diligence to eliminate that human's life, right? That is how, you look at every time they try to protect a cop who just murdered an unarmed innocent person, right? Ending a life, ending a citizen's life because they quote unquote resist. They're like, well, he shouldn't have resisted arrest, right? So in their minds, resisting arrest, by far the worst thing you could do. Not being a mass shooter in a grocery store. Not taking a gun into a public area and eliminating multiple people's lives. That is not something that is worthy of, bypassing due process, bypassing a judge, a jury, being found guilty in a court of law. If somebody resists arrest to the people who back the blue, that is immediate execution, death penalty, no judge, no jury, no due process, law and order handled from start to finish by that police officer who feels that they were being resisted. So if only this terrorist had tried to resist arrest. But no. Not only did he not resist arrest, which would have been instant death penalty punishment, he was not only armed, which most cops shoot people because they think that they were armed. There are countless stories of people who are no longer alive at the hands of police officers who had zero weapons on them, whether had empty hands or were holding a phone or were holding a lighter. This terrorist not only was armed, but also displayed that he is dangerous. So you have a white terrorist, didn't resist arrest, obviously armed, obviously dangerous, and the police miraculously were able to cuff him and bring him in to face his crimes in a court of law. It is absolutely amazing how the police officers are able to show such restraint and professionalism when it comes to a white terrorist who is obviously armed with an assault rifle and had just used that to kill people, how these police officers are not fearing for their lives like they would an unarmed child or a woman asleep in her bed. It is absolutely mind-blowing. But also not surprising. We're terrorists helping terrorists. You have the police, who are a domestic terrorist organization who get paid a lot of taxpayer money to pretty much just terrorize everybody that exists. Primarily people with a certain level of melanin content in their skin. But when it comes to another terrorist, there is some professional respect going on there, right? They understand that they're both on the side of terror. So that is why you have a white kid who killed a bunch of people, armed, dangerous. They will properly arrest him. No, not beaten to death, not beaten close to death, right? His neck wasn't knelt on until he died. He wasn't rear naked choked until he died, right? Handcuffed, put into a cop car, not a scratch on him. Somebody that had an assault rifle and had just used that assault rifle to kill people. He wasn't holding a squirt gun. He wasn't holding a lighter or a cell phone. He wasn't just walking down the street, right? If only that terrorist had resisted arrest, he would no longer be here. Because to so many people who love the police, they love the taste, the boots on the officers' feet as they lick them. That is the sustenance for which gives them life. They love the police and everything they do. They understand that to resist arrest is the one thing that deserves an immediate execution. And anybody who would try to resist arrest should have known that they were going to be slaughtered. They should have known they were going to be executed, because there is no worse crime in humanity than to resist arrest. And if only this terrorist had done that one thing. But apparently he didn't. Despite being armed, despite just slaughtering a bunch of people, these cops were able to arrest him and give him his day in court, where now he will spend the rest of his life. Oh, he has a life in a prison. Meanwhile, almost daily, people are needlessly murdered by police officers who didn't just shoot up a grocery store. It's like so disgusting the amount of energy people will spend online defending needless murder. And the justifications that they use for that are absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And literally will do so much to protect the terrorist. To protect that terrorist's right to acquire that gun. To make sure that he doesn't have to go through background checks. To make sure that that gun is widely available in this country. Despite whatever city or state you're in, you may have to drive a little bit to go get it. But they want to make sure there is no federal restrictions for this white terrorist to get this gun, to perform these acts, and then to be safely escorted from public to a prison. They will defend that terrorist's ability to do that thing and then demonize all of these innocent people that are regularly being slaughtered by the police, saying that it was justified because they broke the cardinal rule, the one thing that is the most horrific thing you could do in life, which is to resist being arrested. Because when you resist being arrested, you're saying, I want you to execute me. I realize that in me resisting you arresting me, that I am forfeiting my need for a trial. I am forfeiting any kind of judicial process. I am forfeiting my right to be defended, for a jury to decide my fate. I am forfeiting my entire life because I don't want to be arrested right now. And that is the crime. That is the one crime in our society that deserves instant execution. It is so fucking disgusting how people are. And guaranteed, there are going to be those people in comments for this video doing exactly that. Showing how absolutely just passionate they are in defending the most evil aspects of our society. It's just disgusting. Anyway, hopefully that Buffalo shooter dies in prison. You know, I hope he's treated like he should be treated just as bad as people who abuse children are in prison. But probably won't. Probably won't. He's a white kid. He'll probably be accepted by the white nationalists that are in prison. Right? He'll be alive. He'll be able to, probably get educated. And then, later on, there'll be 20 years later, there'll be all these people that did all they could to make sure that guy could do what he wanted to do. And then also talk about how he's turned his life around. I don't know. Anyway, absolutely disgusting. Everyone that fights for assault rifles to be easily accessed, people that fight against background checks, people that fight any kind of federal regulation on these things, people that fight to defend police, people that justify somebody getting murdered by a police officer by saying they shouldn't have resisted arrest. All of those people have blood on their hands. All of those people are contributing to all of these things happening. Period.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.